Genuine truth.
"It was a dreadful incident," exclaimed the chicken, who lived at the far end of the town, far away from where the incident took place. "A terrible incident in the hen house. I simply dare not sleep alone now. Thankfully, there are many of us roosting together."
And she began to recount the tale in such a way that all the hen's feathers stood on end, and even the rooster's comb curled up. Yes, it was the absolute truth. But let's start from the beginning, where it all began in the hen house at the other end of town. The sun was setting and all the chickens had settled for the night. One of them, a white-legged hen, was a respectable and honorable chicken in every way. She dutifully laid the required number of eggs and, before going to sleep, settled down comfortably to groom herself and fluff her feathers. As she did so, a small feather flew off and landed on the floor.
"Oh, look how it flew," said the chicken. "Well, no matter. The more I groom myself, the more beautiful I become."
She said it in jest, as she had a cheerful disposition, but that didn't prevent her from being a very respectable chicken, as previously mentioned. And with that, she fell asleep. The hen house was dark. All the chickens were huddled together, and the one sitting beside our chicken was still awake. Not that she intentionally eavesdropped on her neighbor's words, but she listened with the corner of her ear. After all, that's what you do if you want to live in peace with your neighbors. Unable to contain herself, she whispered to another nearby hen.
"Did you hear? I won't mention names, but there's a chicken here who's willing to pluck out all her feathers just to look more beautiful. If I were a rooster, I would despise her."
Right above the hens, perched in the nest, sat an owl with her mate and their little ones. The owls had sharp ears and didn't miss a single word from their neighbor. They all rotated their eyes intensely, while the owl fluttered her wings like a fan. "Hush! Don't listen, my darlings, although I'm sure you've already heard," said the owl mother.
"Oh, my ears are simply withering away. One of the hens got so carried away that she started plucking her own feathers right in front of the rooster."
"Be careful, children. There's no need for them to hear such things," said the owl father.
"We should still tell our dear owl neighbor about this. She's such a lovely individual." And off the owl mother flew to the neighbor's place. "Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo!"
Both owls then hooted directly above the neighboring dovecote.
"Did you hear? Did you hear? Woo-hoo! One hen plucked all her feathers because of the rooster. She'll freeze to death if she hasn't already frozen. Woo-hoo! 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 Where? Where?" cooed the doves. "In the neighboring yard. I saw it almost with my own eyes. It's simply indecent to talk about it, but it's the absolute truth." We believe," said the doves, and cooed to the hens sitting below. "They say one hen, even two, plucked all their feathers to impress the rooster. Risky business. You could catch a cold and die. And that's precisely what happened to them." "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" sang the rooster, taking off onto the fence. He had barely rubbed the sleep from his eyes, yet he was already shouting, "Wake up! 3 hens perished due to tragic love for the rooster. They plucked all their feathers. Such an ugly tale. I refuse to keep silent about it. Let it spread throughout the entire world." let it, squeaked the bats, clucked the hens, and crowed the rooster. Let it! Let it!
The story spread from yard to yard, from henhouse to henhouse, and finally reached the very place it had originated from.
It all started with 5 chickens, the tale went, plucking out their feathers to prove who had become more emaciated from love for the rooster. Then they pecked at each other until death, bringing shame and disgrace upon their entire lineage, to the detriment of their owners. The chicken that lost just a single feather, of course, remained oblivious to her own story and, being a respectable chicken in all respects, declared, "I despise those chickens, but there are so many like them. However, one must not remain silent about such matters. From my side, I will do everything to ensure that this story reaches the newspapers. Let these chickens and their entire lineage be known throughout the world."
And indeed, the newspapers published the entire story. And it was the genuine truth, how easily a single tiny feather could transform into 5 full-fledged hens. The Rabbit Reader read for you. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Thank you for watching.